So we are now recording the May 19th, 2017 Small Business Accounting Advisors. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. So we were just talking a little bit about weather. I may have thunder and lightning in the background. It looks like it's really going to rain. And Sandy, you said that it was nice where you're at, sunny?
You're super sunny. High 90s?
High
Wow.
90s. A little warm.
Where is Sandy? Where
San
are you,
Diego?
Sandy?
San Diego?
Oh, you're Southern California. Yes. You can show ahead and show off about our sunny California weather. It's true.
Yes.
And Misha, even for the Northeast, you were in the 90s today.
Yeah, we were in the
Nice.
90s yesterday and today, and I think over the weekend, well, actually last night I think we had thunderstorms, but this morning when I left, this morning around 10, it was like 80, it's like in the 80s.
Okay.
Not bad.
Okay. Dennis?
Partly sunny. It's probably around 65, 68 degrees now, I'd say.
Okay.
It's
Well, at
been
least
raining.
it's
It's
not
been raining. Yeah, it's been raining quite a bit this spring and winter and last summer. And
Like all the time, huh?
but we get the tourist weather from maybe July to about middle September.
And then it eases up a bit.
It goes back to regular Seattle rain.
Well, one of the things we were talking about were some little Zoom tricks that we've learned. Mariette has learned about calling in. Mariette, are you able to talk to us?
Yes. So I learned something about myself that I already knew. I'm very impatient, and so when I call in, I just start typing in the meeting number because I'm super excited and wanting to meet you guys. And I realized that, I stopped driving. Hi. I realized that if I would have waited 10 to 12 seconds, probably, it'll dial for you. So basically, like 3 or 4 weeks ago, we were talking about how the audio is better if you're driving, because a lot of us are driving in these meetings, but we want to join. You can choose the option to dial in. So choose the option to dial in, choose a number, and then give it about 10 to 15 seconds. It'll dial the number for you. It'll go into a silent pause, and then it'll actually dial in the access code to join the meeting. So it's all done for you. No reason to pull over, no reason to have to manually type anything. So that's what I learned today.
Awesome.
Well, that's good to know because sometimes I'm running errands and I would like to join, but it's like, oh, I can't.
So
Yeah, you can. You can definitely join.
Yes, now I can.
you have to have the app on your phone,
Am
though.
I the only one that has unlimited data?
Are you the only one that has what?
Unlimited data.
Probably one of the only ones.
So I don't even, to me, it doesn't fit wherever I am.
No, but I don't do it for the unlimited data, Misha. I do it because I noticed that I don't do it because I don't have unlimited data. I do it because when I notice that I use my data, it's not as clear as when I'm calling through my carrier. That's why I do it.
The audio, when you're calling in as opposed to joining the Zoom, is much
Right.
better
I don't
on
really
the
see a
phone.
difference. I mean, my carrier is AT&T, and it's the same.
For
I
me,
mean, well, I don't know about yours, but so many times when I've been on, they'll say, "Hey, it sounds like you're breaking up." And then now the last 2 times that I've called in, I think it's made a difference. Has it made a difference, Dennis and Gina? I mean, you guys have been hearing it. Does it sound different, better, clear?
I can hear you much clearer when you dial in. Yes.
Got it. That's why I do it.
I don't think it has to do with the carrier or I think it has to do with the phone and how powerful the phone is.
Yeah.
Whether or not it can actually handle the Zoom.
Yeah.
So
But I don't know. I don't have any problems either way.
awesome. You're lucky.
Yeah.
You got good data.
Probably got good data. Plus, I don't generally do Zooms when I'm traveling anyway. Plus, I don't really travel anymore, so.
Takes you 6 minutes to get to
I'm
your
either at my office or my house. People come to me. I don't go to people anymore. I'm done with that.
I'm waiting for that.
Let me tell you, it's a good feeling because most of my time was spent sitting in traffic. Because I'm in the Boston, I'm Boston area traffic and all of that. That's crazy.
Never been to Boston. I meant when we first came to the United States, that's where I lived when I was little.
Mhm.
But haven't been there since, so it's my bucket list.
all the way across the United States for you.
Yeah.
I've been to California once.
What part of California?
San Francisco.
Oh, yes, that's nice.
So Dennis,
Yeah.
you wanted to talk a little bit about Nimble and Zoho CRM.
Well, the thing that was impressed me about Nimble was how you could find all these different social media links. And that wasn't me.
That was my phone talking. Sorry.
Oh, and the Zoho was really good for me in terms of centralizing emails and taking notes and all that. But he was saying that there's a thing called PySync that you can sync Zoho and Nimble, the contacts and all that. And I remember it used to be that you could get a free Nimble account, but I think they did away with that. And now it's like $25 a month.
Which is not too outrageous.
No, I'm thinking about, there's some things I'm thinking about cutting to, repurpose the funds.
Actually, Dennis, it's $39 a month because I bought it.
Nimble?
So it's Nimble. I think it's either $30 or $39 a month after a 15-day trial, but you can actually ask them to extend that to a 30-day trial. And to be honest, they extended me to like a 45-day trial because I tried to do it during tax season, and I'm like, that was ridiculous because I couldn't get into it during tax season. So they gave me probably 40 days, and finally they're like, we can't extend you any more days. And then it's either $30 or $39 a month. It's one of those two, but it's definitely at least $30.
Okay, got
Probably
it.
right online.
Got it. Who's typing? Dennis?
That was me. I was checking it. It says pricing. There's $22 per license month when billed annually, $25 per license month when billed monthly.
Okay, so it'll even out to about $39 a month.
Yeah, I think that's limited though, because there was a reason why I had to go to the other one. I think that's limited somehow. The one that's like in the 20s.
Well,
I'm not sure how, but
And so what do you pay for your Zoho a month, Dennis?
20.
20? So that brings it up to $50 if you go with both of them.
Yeah, I've got one that I'm seriously thinking about dropping. Mariette knows which one it is. I think it's that Tax Planner Pro. I'm not really using it.
Yeah, if you don't really use it, then you can do other things to get the information out of. I mean, basically, what you can get out of Tax Planner Pro if you're not using the what if scenarios and the projections and all and the reports, then basically you can get the data out of your software. So, I mean, I agree with that. If you're not using it, then that makes sense.
Well, the thing that I was, I know the guy's really busy, but it doesn't seem like they've made that many, or is it Chris? I know Chris is really busy with his, his business, but it seemed like they were going to have a lot of things that we're going to be doing in terms of different scenarios and different type of tax plans. And so I just really need to get it and see it, focus on it. But I use like Tax Coach, and I really like it. They have like weekly marketing meetings, and they have like bi-weekly technical meetings. And
Yeah, I've looked into that. So you like it? It's good. I've actually looked into joining Tax Coach.
Oh,
I was kind of like,
I really like it. I mean, I get a lot more use out of that. It's like $99 a month, you know.
it's $99 a month.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Then you definitely want to get used to it if it's $100 a month.
I mean, the guy is really, the call-ins are pretty funny. I mean, the guy's got a great sense of humor, and they've got all these different plans. The software isn't quite as strong as Chris Reagan's software is, but, you know.
Oh, so he has a software too? He also has that actual membership also comes with the software?
Yeah, I mean, you type in and it kicks out a plan. It's kind of behind the scenes. It's not really as transparent. I mean, I would encourage you to try the 2 week. I think you get it 2 weeks for free. But
okay, I thought it was more like a growth membership, like to grow your planning services. Like I thought it was more like a mentoring. When I get to advertising.
It's got actual plans.
Oh.
You got to take a look at it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. We'll look into it then. Thank you for telling me about that. Yeah, I didn't know it was like that.
Tax Coach University, or like I said,
yeah.
I think
I get the emails all the time. You get them. They send me emails like crazy, so I know exactly which one it is.
Well, they have like webinar, and they've got this library of all these webinar videos and webinars you can watch, and they've got you just try the 14-day free trial.
Cool. All right. Thanks.
And what is the name of it again?
Tax Coach University, I think, or
yeah, it's Tax Coach. I think it's just Tax Coach.
Yeah, you can find it that way too.
And it's for coaching your clients, not for coaching.
No, it's basically adding tax planning services, and he has the plans, but the idea is for you to they get the value out of your expertise and not necessarily the plan. You don't just say, here's the plan and go follow it.
Right, exactly. It's basically, they're giving you scenarios that you can already start kind of applying to your own clients. And then when you have tax planning meetings, which, they're starting to encourage, and you should not just do tax prep, you should tax planning. You already have your guns loaded, basically. You're already ready for those meetings.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I would just check it out.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I will. Thank you.
Hey, Sarah. Hey, Linda. Linda, you look like you just got in from a convention with your name on you. You're muted. Let me see if I can unmute you. There we go.
Yeah, I'm on a break at the Conference for Global Transformation.
Oh,
yes.
And
Are you enjoying it? How's it going for you?
I'm sorry?
I said, are you enjoying it?
I am very much. I'm on the hospitality team, and so that's how I get free admission, and so that's really kind of nice. And I went and got some food, and I'm going to try to eat some food, and then I have to get back to work.
Got it.
Really kind of neat. So, but I wanted to make as much of this as I could. So, how was Mariette? Was she talking about her class yesterday that she taught?
We were talking a little bit about Zoom and about Tax Coach, not about her class that she taught. And now she's gone. She's actually mobile right now. So if she pops back on, we'll ask her.
Got it.
So, but Sarah, I wanted to talk to you about a couple of subjects.
All right.
Balance sheets out of balance. Still.
It's hitting everybody, isn't it?
Well, I'm hearing more and more about it now that you brought it up.
My husband.
Sarah, is this in 17 or 16?
I don't have anybody in 16, but the new balance sheet out of balance warning, I think, started in 16. And that's why I'm just now seeing it, I think. But it also, they changed how they do their verify. Now there's like this verify report that we didn't have before. But
maybe that's causing it.
Some of the files, you just play with the dates and it cleans itself up. It's like the only pattern I can find so far is if I use a memorized balance sheet, it might be out of balance. But if I come in cold, works. So,
I think
So-
it might be a corrupt file.
well, yeah, I do. I have periodically I find corrupt files, but if I can play with the data, get a new report and it's in balance.
Something else is up, and that's
What
scary.
happened to me when I first started using QuickBook, I was out of balance in accrual method, but on the cash method, I was in balance. So I had called QuickBooks support, and she said there was a corrupt file on my username or something. So she had to fix the data in the back end and recreate a new username for me.
Now, isn't that weird? A username.
Yeah, so something, it was a corrupt file. So then she had to recreate a new username. And then it fixed the problem.
I've heard problems with usernames before.
Yeah.
People having issues like that. Well, mostly it's logon issues that they have.
Mm.
But you're talking about something entirely different, Sarah.
Yeah.
This is a known problem.
Well, Murph was talking about. He has a long article about, nothing should be out of balance on a transaction. I mean, we're double-sided bookkeeping, right? So
Right, exactly.
he's able to recreate that if you do a sales receipt. How did that work? A sales receipt that has no income tax on it. I mean, sales tax, because it'll test the math it'll do a calculation for sales tax. That somehow protects the transaction, but I forget exactly. He had something to do with no sales tax, and he was able to input like $1 or whatever on a row with no item code, and it took it.
Wow. Okay, I can see how that would make things out of balance.
Right. So the total amount going to undeposited funds or whatever was one amount, and it was $1 off on the revenue side or on the other side of the entry. So I was able to recreate it and create that out of balance situation. It's like that's a bug to me.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. You shouldn't be able to do a line item without an item.
No.
Right.
And I guess apparently that if there's sales tax or something like that, it'll say, hey, it won't let you. But
I wonder why it's appearing all of a sudden. I wonder why it's appearing all of a sudden just in 17. I wonder if they did something that with all these changes or the changes they made.
What I think is happening before 16 is how many people print a balance sheet and look at the two numbers. So in the rare occasion that it happens, people aren't visually, they're just not catching it.
Yeah.
Whereas
So an accountant looks at it and says, hey,
the newer version is throwing a pop-up window, a pop-up message saying,
Hmm.
"I got it." So,
You would have thought they would have caught that in beta.
well, especially now that Murph has written that whole article.
yeah, you can't get any better than that. And they're not going to do any. Murph is Murph. And that's what he does. And that's why we love Murph.
That's right.
He's dealing with people are sent. He'll get his hands on a data file and
He deep dives into all the technical stuff.
real
Seriously deep dives.
Right. So I've got another client in another state. They don't have time to mess with it right now, but they're getting this balance sheet out of. So I'll talk to them next week. I don't have a copy of their data, but I told him, I said, play with it, where'd you get the report? Did you play with the dates? And he, we'll play with it next week. So he didn't know, but so I'm curious to see. I don't have time for this stuff. Some of them, they pay, if they have a data problem, they pay very well. My little clients, I just go, oh my gosh.
Right.
I end up just fixing it. But
Now, does QBO have these kind of out of balance problems? Has anybody ever heard of?
Yeah, I have not heard. Go ahead.
lately on Facebook, have you seen that little rant with the people that were saying they were like getting blown out, or they put in transactions and they come back in and the transactions aren't there, and there's all these weird things going on. So, at least with the database, we have the database.
Right. But I think when that happens, and I have had that happen too, I thought I was going crazy. I know I put that transaction in there. I know I did it. But I think it's a problem, I
Browse.
would say, with like internet, getting the data from your desktop to the online. If there's an issue, if you're dropping out, if, you know, I think it, whatever, it just doesn't get to the online. Like you close the program too quick, you do the transaction, close right away, doesn't have a chance to get to the cloud. You would think that it should be instantaneous, but I don't think it is. I don't know what the refresh rate is. You know what I mean?
Well, I know with like Intuit Tax Online, I don't know it's timed out. It doesn't give me a timed out message, and I'll be typing stuff in, and all of a sudden, you know, I get this message, and I've typed in like maybe 10 minutes worth of work, and then I realize that it's been disconnected. So that's kind of a...
Seth mentioned that where he said that he has a time, I guess it times you out if you're not in the QBO for a period of time, it'll knock you out.
Yeah, I've lived so, yeah.
Massive sales receipt that was...
Yeah.
It'll do that late at night, too.
Him working in the sales receipt was
And
not enough
And
for
don't work late.
to Intuit to say, hey, I am working in QBO. He has a screen, but it's pulling item codes and amount.
So why does it not see him there, right? Why does it
Now
not?
he lost the whole thing. So you want to hit that little save thing periodically. I'm sure there's...
I suspect they're running their systems at night, so it's probably slowing things down. And
Well, you know, when you're working in tax online, if you don't go in and out the sub menu so that your data will save late at night, you'll lose everything. And you have to reboot.
In QBO, does there have a save button like it does in desktop? Like if you're on a transaction, you know, you can just hit save.
I don't think so. Not into a tax online. It's like that's more than once where I've been doing it, and all of a sudden I realize it hasn't saved.
Yeah, I talked to tech support and said, "Oh, you have to in and out of the sub menus for it to save."
Say what? Do what?
Yeah. Okay. Let's say if you're in a sub menu and you're putting data input, right?
Okay.
Well, periodically you should go into another sub menu. Then it will automatically save in the sub menu you were in, so that late at night, if it crashes on you, your data will save. So that's your way of saving.
So if you're not doing that, if you just kind of stay in the same place and then your stuff in that.
Yeah, and what if you have a long transaction? Like Sarah said, sometimes you do.
Looks like Dwayne's frozen.
Yeah, that's a little disturbing. A little disturbing. My goodness.
Yeah, gotta love this new software.
Yeah.
Learning things the hard way.
So I got a call this afternoon. Can you get me a version of 2015 desktop? No. Short and sweet. No.
Did your screen freeze?
Yours did.
Dwayne.
Oh,
You're not us.
I'm going to be quiet.
Well, that's frustrating when you put a lot of information in and it doesn't save, Dwayne.
Yes, it's very frustrating.
Hey, Gina, I was able to order a client 16 because their other software has not been will not work with 17 yet.
Oh, okay. Well, I wasn't even going there. I mean, I'm thinking 2014 is sunsetting.
14,
This
yeah.
month. 2014 is sunsetting. You don't get payroll. You don't get online banking. You don't get payments. And what's more
Get
support.
emailing. You can't email invoices. That stops.
So why waste your money? If you're going to buy 15, go ahead to go to 17.
And that was my point. And already, you know, if you're not willing to do what's right for your business, I'm not sure I want to work with you. If you can't even buy the software and keep it up to date,
Right.
this indicates a problem to me. You're not serious about your business.
Yeah.
Right.
And I don't want to work with people that are not serious about their business.
It's more like a hobby.
Yeah.
And then I said, no. And he says, well, I said, the only place you're going to be able to get it is eBay or Amazon, possibly. And you really have to worry about whether that key code is going to be valid or not. Because you call into support, you're not going to get any help. You could have wasted whatever money you've just spent. All right, well, I can get it online. I was hoping I would get it sooner, and I'm thinking, well, that wouldn't have happened either. So, all right, goodbye. Good luck, my friend. What else can you say? You know, I'm not going to argue with these guys. And
No.
2015, we're in 17 now.
Yeah.
So,
Well, Joanne did a nice job last week.
thank you very much to Joanne. She did
Yeah.
an excellent job. It was an excellent little happy hour that you guys had.
Kept us focused.
It was great.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
She was very good about transitioning from one subject to another, making sure everybody was included.
Mm-hmm.
So
I kind of let things roll as they roll.
I need to sign off. I'm supposed to be back from break at 3 o'clock California time, which gives me
1 minute.
a minute to walk back. Not too far, maybe 1,000 feet. So
No one's ever on time in those things anyway.
I know. So anyway, but I'm glad I made it for a little bit of time.
Me too.
Hear all about it next week.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really kind of fun. The Conference for Global Transformation. To
Awesome.
me, that's just an amazing
The title.
title.
All righty. Well, we'll look forward to talking to you
All right,
next week.
very good. See you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye, Linda.
Have a good weekend.
So, Sarah,
Yeah, what?
virtual employees, you brought up a lot of really good questions.
Oh my gosh, I know.
I mean,
Well, I talked to an accountant colleague that moved from Savannah out to Arizona and now is in Utah. So I texted her and I said, "It's on the payroll, right?" And I said, "How you doing that?" And she said, my question was about registered agents, because when I've done this before, you have to have an address in the state. So do you pay for a registered agent, or in the case when I did it before, it was a company where all the principals were still in each of their states, and they were all getting ready to all move to South Carolina.
right.
Started, and they were working remotely as they all retired or whatever they did, and kids got out of school or whatever. Everybody finally moved. So I used their home addresses. Happy day when everybody made it to one state.
I'm sure.
Well, I have to learn. I mean, I keep up with the states around here and all the little, ins and outs of payroll and things, sales tax. But you start getting too far away, and so I called her. She said yes, that they're using her home address. They got the withholding account and a unemployment account, and then when she moved to Utah, they did it again. So
Wow.
but I worry about
Presence in a state and sales tax.
right. So
That's what I
fortunately, we're still talking about
It's cool.
service organizations, but see, some states tax on services.
That's
Are
the
they-
trend.
Are they working from there or dialing in? And but all the software is up in the cloud. It's not like they're dialing into South Carolina.
Right.
I gave them this plethora of information, and Intuit has all kinds of information has links where to go for information per state. And so just using the software is pretty, pretty handy. And then, but I wonder, the guys at Expensify or HubDoc, and they're traveling to these shows just nonstop.
Right.
So that's what these employees are going to do is they've moved away. They'll be basically working out of their houses or whatever, but they're traveling extensively. So there's an area that I don't do you have to say when you're traveling in and out of states?
Well, I heard the state of Washington checks Facebook pages and looking for trade shows and seeing if there might be some tax they could collect.
Okay. Is that employee taxes?
Sales taxes. Sales tax.
So in theory, you would have, I mean, like right now, there are certain items that are only taxable in certain states.
Right.
Like in Pennsylvania, if I were to go online and sell things, if I had taxable items, it's taxable in Pennsylvania, but it's not taxable, say, in Delaware or New Jersey or surrounding states. However, if you have an employee that works out of another state now, would that then make that taxable in that state?
That's what these.
Yeah, so normally from sales tax, as long as you have a present in that state.
Well,
then
that's the question.
That's the
What
question.
exactly
You
is the presence? What's a
meaning
presence?
if you have an employee that lives in that state, that would make you having present, or if you have a warehouse in that state, you wouldn't have presence.
But typically, they wouldn't have warehouses in those states. They're using a virtual employee.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
think
but and that employee never really, they're working in the cloud. They're not really working. They are physically in their state. Does that mean the employer now has a presence there?
I would think so. I think that's what they would argue that.
Well, the states would, of course, because they want the money.
Yes.
So how about if I have a store in Savannah? I'm right here on the and I have an employee that's driving to work every day from South Carolina. He lives in South Carolina. And that
But you're
working in Georgia. But what if he dials in from home and works? Now he's got a working presence. And, it's just getting.
yeah, that makes it more complicated.
Yeah.
I don't want to advise them. And then send them where?
Right, exactly.
So.
Exactly.
Oh, gosh, I don't know.
They're not only employment taxes, but sales tax.
I remember at a company I used to work for, they were located in, I believe, in Arkansas, but they had an employee living in another state, so he would cross over. So we had to apply to collect sales tax for the other state, the border state where he was coming from.
Now, some
Even
companies.
though he was working in Arkansas,
Mm-hmm.
and there was, so if anything was sold in the border state, they had to pay sales tax.
Yes.
Well, yeah, that would make. Well, yeah, it's not out of state.
No, because the employees working in the state that the sales tax is being collected, not in.
Yeah, so that employee caused the company to have nexus in the state he was living in, even though he drove cross-border to work.
Into the state of the
His residence screwed him up.
Yes.
Not
So,
not where it was sold, his residence.
yes.
But then what sales do you apply to that state? Oh, anything that delivered into that state, yeah.
Yes, anything that's sales tax related.
All right,
So.
all right. Man.
I know.
Because I had to do sales tax, and so I had to be on top of that. And so every state had different rule, like you don't pay sales tax on machine or because it generates income, so that was exempt from sales tax. There's another state as well that you don't have to pay sales tax on machines.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So every state has different rule. You have to actually read up on it.
But
So if you have
licenses and things like that, she was saying that when she moved out to Arizona, that because she was a remote worker, they did not require a business license.
Well, like, for example, in the state, they get really fined because, like, for example, in the state of Washington, food is exempt from sales tax, but candy is not. And so you get these crazy rules as to how much sugar or how much flour or whatever's in the product, to whether you charge sales tax. And they call it the candy tax here for a while. But they get
like that too. They have a lot of crazy, weird taxes, particularly around food.
Yeah, you'd be surprised to say a portion of things that they consider to be retail sales as opposed to services. It's like,
Well, here's a question for you, California folks. So so this guy's moving to California, right? And I'm looking at like the new pay rules and all this stuff, and I'm like, oh my. Now this guy's just salary, So I don't know, but it might be time to cut them loose if they're going to start getting this.
I have a California question. I have a client that sold a rental property in California, and during the closing, the franchise board charged him like 3% of the sales price as a withholding. I'm assuming it was in anticipation of capital gains.
Yeah.
Well, he had a capital loss, so I'm filing a return, so he's getting about $8,000 back, but he effectively made them an involuntary interest-free loan to the state of California for about 6 months.
That happens all the time, Dennis. I don't think there's any way around that.
At least he's going to get his money back.
Yeah.
Right. At least he is getting it back. He should get it back with interest, really.
Yeah.
But, they make their own rules, and they don't listen to what we say.
Especially since we don't live there.
Right, exactly.
So Dennis, I have a tax question. So if I
Okay.
want to learn more about tax so I can start preparing corporate tax, what would be a good training class I should take? Or
I thought you said you were an enrolled agent.
I am, but I haven't filed corporate tax or anything. I just took the exam and passed, but
Book learn.
I'm just not really confident in preparing it. I don't think so. I'm a little nervous.
There's tons of videos out on YouTube. I mean, Northwest Tax School has about 200 videos out there for free. I mean, it's basically you don't get the you don't get the CPE and you don't get the materials, but you can watch the webinars. I mean, like there's one on S Corps. It's like about a 3-hour presentation for part 1 and a 4-hour presentation for part 2.
Okay.
I think it's Northwest Tax. Let's see if I can find it.
Yeah, I remember seeing that on YouTube as well.
So that's what I would recommend is going out, in Google search and or YouTube's, because there's tons of free stuff out there. You'd be amazed at how much they're giving away.
Okay. And so I'm a little confused about the depreciation schedule. When you take on a new client and you look at their tax return, I don't really understand the depreciation schedule that well or read it. Is there anything that I can learn?
The work papers from the prior accountant.
Do you have the schedule
Yeah.
from the past accountant? Because it's not given to the IRS.
Right.
Yeah. Also, in regard to depreciation, one common mistake I find is that people have like rental properties that use TurboTax. They forget to take depreciation, and so I've been able to recover anywhere from like $6,000 to $8,000 by refiling the amended returns because they didn't take any depreciation. But you have to be aware of the rules on rental properties. You can't depreciate land, so you have to do an allocation. It can get pretty complicated, on
We're
rental.
talking about picking it up in the middle, like bringing on a new client and
Yes.
And
Like,
of course, there's no depreciation.
Right.
so I'm a little nervous about that part because there's a bonus depreciation. There's Section 179.
So you really need the depreciation schedule from the prior accountant, the person that did it before.
Also,
And most accountants will give it to you. Most are
Yeah.
pretty good about that. They're pretty good professionally like that.
also you need to be aware that when you sell property, you have to account for the depreciation taken or allowable. And so I've seen some where the client did not take any depreciation on the tax return. And since I can only go back 3 years to amend the returns, they basically kissed off some money. Because when you figure your capital gains, you have to reduce the basis as if you had taken the depreciation. That's right, isn't it, Dwayne? You
I
find
remember
that?
learning that in the exam, and it's just like,
Well,
when I cross that bridge, I'll worry about it.
What do you Dwayne, what are your thoughts on this since you do taxes also?
Okay, well, I think that there's a combination of things that she should do. One is get the IRS publications on depreciation, go through those. Like Dennis was saying before, go to YouTube, and I'm sure they've got some YouTube videos on how to.
Oh, yeah, they do.
Depreciation. Also, like Gina was saying, get a copy of the client's prior year tax return, see what the approach and methodology that was used for the assets that they still have, and then work it all together. And then if you have any questions, ask me and Dennis.
There you
That
go.
sounds good.
And Dwayne's an enrolled agent also, you know.
Yeah, I see.
That's the thing. If you're doing a tax return, you're the end of the line. I mean, not having that boss or somebody to ask. It's like, where do you
I was on another subject. I was watching a YouTube video on, these tax resolution places and this Fresh Start initiative. And this guy was giving his take on the Fresh Start. He says, it's really kind of a brilliant idea from the IRS to identify people that haven't filed or haven't, because you're like, raising your head up and saying, hey.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Here I am.
Yeah, move me up in the queue,
I think we want to talk to you.
Sandy,
Yeah.
Oh, one more suggestion. You might want to think about joining NATP. They have a lot of manuals, how-to manuals, and how to fill out the different forms and stuff, and that might be a good start for you.
Yeah,
Okay, okay.
I belong to NATP, and I also belong to NSA, not the spies, but
NSA is good as well.
that's very good. I like, those are very good organizations in terms of
Nice people too, really
yeah,
nice.
research, and they've got groups that you can join. I think that, and so you can get. I'm on these different threads on, tax questions.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just trying to learn. I'm just not confident yet. But when I watched these video training, I was like, okay, I know how to do that.
I always like the depreciation, Creative Solutions depreciation software. That worked for me.
I did that for years and years and years.
I know, and I haven't done it in years. QuickBooks Accountant also has depreciation software that you can use.
Well, a big trend, a hot trend right now is component depreciation, where you can really, especially on buildings, because you can depreciate certain parts of the building faster than others.
Dennis, are you heavily involved with cost segregation?
No, no. I've heard you have to be get an engineer to do it for you.
Sounds like you've had a little experience, Dwayne. Have you had experience with this?
I've just taken the webinars, and just like Deb said, I'm not an engineer, so
If I have a client that's building something, I will wade through the paperwork and pull out fencing, parking lot.
Right.
That is not an inside, anything that isn't bolted down.
Right.
And it's a lot of work, but but if you people will actually come in and do an analysis for you of your fixed.
There are firms out there that will come in, like you said, Sarah, and they will do the work for you.
Yeah, I think there's some accountants at my husband's firm that specialize in that.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, like on rental property, darn well, a stove's not going to last 27 and a half years,
No.
and that kind of stuff.
The appliances, if you can pull those appliances out. But see, you also have to, what kind of paperwork are you getting when you're paying your draws and all this with the contractor? Sometimes all that stuff gets mixed in.
Yeah, probably.
And you've got to get them to pull it back out. So, but Sandy, no, I thought, especially when I was first in the biz, is it weird to maybe consider going to work for an accounting firm for a tax season? And just really,
I would like to, but it just seems so hard to even try to get a job to work with them. That's the hard part. I don't mind, but it's just getting the job. That's the hard part.
Because
I'm very surprised at that because I always thought that accountants were looking for more.
You know, what you ought to do is, like, for example, I don't belong to the State Society anymore, but they've got a newsletter and they've got ads. And they're always, you know, especially probably around October, November for the upcoming tax season, they're looking to get seasonal help. So that's what I would do.
Or what?
I would, well, it's usually the smaller firms. Like I belong to a tax roundtable, and we meet like once a month, and they always have a hard time because they're competing against the bigger firms, you know, and so they like to they want people to stay, of course, but they, you know, are probably more flexible in terms of hiring people on temporary during the busy season. So if I were you, I would start maybe like in October, November of this year, start making the rounds and, you know, sending out resumes, and, or better yet, just contacting like say the state society, CPA State Society, and finding out, see if you can get access to I'm sure you can get access to their job ads. So that's what I would do.
Okay. I'll definitely look into it.
Do you belong to NAEA?
No.
So you might want to look into them and see if there's a possibility that you can make a connection and maybe work with other EAs, you know, in their shops to get your feet wet.
Okay.
And be prepared to work. They're going to work you from 6 in the morning to 9 at night.
But you're still young, so don't worry about it.
Maybe hopefully within a season.
That'll be enough.
I can learn.
Well, like if you went to like H&R Block, I think they have like a non-compete, don't they?
That's what I heard. But I don't want to work for H&R Block. I don't feel it's.
You need somebody. You need a mentor. Where you work under somebody who just doesn't want somebody year round. You know, who's willing to, you know, take you on for a season or two. Because I tell you what, working for a public accounting firm is just invaluable. You know, sometimes I don't. I'd be scared, I think, to just go out on my own right out of school.
You might try Craigslist also. I think Craigslist is a good source of, you know, job ads for accountants, especially during the tax season.
My daughter worked for H&R Block for 3 years, and she learned a lot during her experience.
Now, when I took an H&R Block training class back in '95, it was a really good class, but it seemed like what I was hearing back then, I'm not sure if it's true now, but you basically got paid at the end of the tax season, or maybe you got draws, but you know, got most of it right at the end.
But I heard H&R Block is more for like individual.
You want to do the business.
And I want to do business returns.
Well, they've got a professional division, don't they?
They do.
They do?
Yeah.
Oh, I did not know that.
You might check that out.
If you're a beginner, more than likely you'll get a lot of individual returns.
Somebody's busy. That's Dennis.
Yeah. But normally, if you first start out, you get mostly individual returns. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's because you're low man on the totem pole.
But what my daughter did do, she spun off from H&R Block and she developed her own client base.
Yeah.
And she did pretty good until she got married.
What happened? Baby started?
Oh, she's got 4 kids now.
Congratulations, Grandpa.
Does she work from home, or is she still doing taxes, or?
She being a mom.
She does the family taxes, but she gave away all her clients.
Oh, that's a shame. Worked so hard for them.
Yeah. So she's got 4 kids.
So she'll pick up again after they get back.
I was going to do that. I don't know how this career thing happened. Not in my plan.
Yeah. So
next thing you know, you're 56.
Yeah, well, they're from 2 to 9, so she's got a full schedule.
Absolutely, she does.
Yeah.
I have a 2.5, and he's a handful.
Oh boy, are they a handful.
Yeah.
Actually, I think three is worse because then they start saying no back to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
But just think about it, Dennis. If you have two that are 3 at the same time, that's
Oh my God.
yeah. So she had twins, and she's got 2 others.
Wow. Wow.
I'll stick
I'm
with
glad she has a lot of patience.
I'm waiting for grandchildren. I'm just skip right over that mother thing.
There you go.
Married somebody with kids, then
Right.
right to grandmother.
And then you can give them back.
Yeah.
What's that say when mom says no, call 1-800-GRANDMA?
Poor Dwayne froze again. Don't know what's happening. So do we have any other subjects we want to talk about before we end? We're about out of time here.
Not with accounting. I did have a really good discovery meeting. Ooh, my Zoom meeting blew them away. We had 3 at one location on a laptop. It was hard because the laptop, unless the laptop was facing the person talking, I couldn't hear them. And I go, you know, because they're at a big conference table. It just wasn't working. And then I had a bookkeeper at one location, and I had the internal auditor at another place. And so they wanted me to analyze or get a quote to analyze these books that they know are in trouble. And so I said, well, let's do the Zoom. And they're like, a Zoom? So anyway, and then I talked to somebody today who went, everybody thought that was the coolest thing. I said, because they were just like, oh, because they're like, well, can you be there at 2 o'clock? I said, I don't go anywhere. I'm not messing with parking and you know, walking downtown. I'm not doing it. So, so that was pretty cool. And, you know, I just touched on, you know, my firm uses tools and smart sheets and, you know, this and that and Qbox. They're good.
Nice.
So now I have to play with my notes this weekend and figure out how to quote it.
Well, you know, when you're an employee, you don't really have the incentive nor necessarily the ability. I mean, like when I worked for WAMU, they were so tightly controlling on their software that, you know, you had to get an act of Congress to put something on your desktop, you know. But
Yeah, my husband's that way. Nobody's allowed to install anything, you know.
in a corporate environment, yeah, they worry
Goes
about
through
viruses.
him, you know, so, and he's still getting partners that click on junk. And it's just like, no, it's always the same ones too.
Right.
But, so now I'm like, okay, I was able to go into the data in front of them. And so they're coming from, you know, this is the way it should work. And I'm like, this isn't what I'm finding. And the bookkeeper who's temporary, he was trying to fix this. But see, unless you have really good balance sheet skills and understand how item codes work and cash basis versus accrual and what the other side of the entry is, she's just doing what she was taught to do. So those bad habits from, you know, come down the assembly line, and then you get the higher ups who are just reading reports going, right. I was able on one screen to pull them up. You know, she gave me the mouse and I'm like, let me look, you know, and I'm like, whoa, yeah, okay. So we're making tons of notes. So now I could give her, I'm going to have to think about how to do this because it's a large nonprofit, but you know, my bookkeepers, I can bill out less expensive than myself. Plus I'm getting ready to go out of town for 2 weeks. So I'm like, but, you know, by the hour, but how many hours would be her and how many hours would me? And should I just make up a number and throw it at them and say, you know, but I think I know how much it'll take to get in there. You know what they did? They were interfacing from another program too.
Oh, that makes it even worse.
Here's a question. It was importing AR payments, okay? It is set up that when you do an AR payment, it goes to undeposited funds, but on theirs, it's going to cash, going to the checkbook, every little piece. So I'm like.
So what do you mean by going to cash? Can you set up like a clearing bank account?
Well, what I'm saying is it apparently didn't look at the way QuickBooks was set up. It must be, see, that's another part of this engagement.
That's a mapping problem.
It's a setup problem because apparently they could either bring in deposits or they could bring in sales receipts. But when they bring in, I mean, payments, but if they bring in deposit slips, they went for a range and it dumped in and made one huge deposit. So there was some part of my suggestions, and part of this quote is going to be, who do I work with? I got to go work with another program and find out how it's interfacing, or tell them to stop doing it.
You have to put that in, in the quote, an engagement letter.
Because I've never seen.
Right, you can't really quote an hourly rate. I mean, or that would be something you want to say, it's just going to take however many hours that it takes. You can't really.
And then how do I fix 18 months worth of just that one interface? Is it's a factoring company or
were they reconciling their bank accounts?
No. No. That's what I'm saying. When I showed him, I said, look at the checkbook. And I said, see all the little pieces? I said, that needs to be one deposit slip. So you could just see light bulbs going off on everybody. And then the bookkeeper going, see, I told you I couldn't. So I was supporting her, but she didn't know where they were coming from or why they were there.
Have the background.
And then undeposited funds was crazy. So I expected duplicate anyway. So very interesting. Part of me says, I just wish they had the budget. Give me the data file. Just give me the data file in about 2 weeks and let me go to town. But I've got to come up with a way to quote that, so.
That's going to be tough.
But it was fun. It was fun in that, one of the gals I talked to said, I thought I knew QuickBooks. She said, I watched you flipping around in and out of there, and I know nothing about QuickBooks.
Well, a lot of people are self-taught. I think they know QuickBooks.
Yeah.
Well, they know what they're doing. They know what their specific, whatever it is they're doing. They know how to write checks. They know how to enter bills, pay bills. They know how to invoice, but they don't know what the meaning is behind it. They don't know how items work with the chart of accounts. They don't know that background. They don't know debits from credits. So
cross your fingers, because having the internal auditor from Atlanta in on this, plus some other higher ups, plus the woman in the finance department at the home office, she's sort of like the go-to for QuickBooks when a subsidiary has a QuickBooks problem and they don't know what to do. She's the one that's like, I'll get a copy of the data file and I'll try to help them out, and so I showed her about QuickBooks or QBox. I said, you guys need to have a copy of all these subsidiary QuickBooks files 24/7, so that you can at your leisure go in and see what's, keep up with these. And I said, and what it boils down to is not just training, but once they saw that different divisions were handling things different ways, it was like, I said, we need to not only understand the software, we need decisions on what are you expecting, then have procedures set up and all that. And so I'm hoping that they were impressed enough that I become the go-to for all these subsidiaries.
But they need a procedures manual.
Yeah. So that's a whole other engagement. That's a whole other engagement.
With pictures and arrows and
auditing each division, because you've got an auditor with paper going.
Well, you got to figure out a procedure before you can implement.
Well, that's what So we have a lot of, especially with work that does the financing, that interfaces and everything, and each division, one will do it cash basis and the other one's,
Oh,
they didn't know that. They're like, no, everybody's cash basis. And I'm like, so anyway, so it was a lot of ding, ding, a lot of light bulbs. So it was fun.
Well, good luck with it.
I'm worn out. I tell you what, after a 2-hour meeting, have you ever just came out of a meeting and then, you log off and then you go, holy God. like so shocked because you've been trying to be on point.
Right, right.
2 hours and all you want is, I don't drink, but I wanted a beer. So. Anyway.
Well, good luck, Sarah.
Yeah, thank you. So, well, have a nice weekend, y'all.
Yeah, I'm going to sign off. I think we're done for the week, and we will see you next week. Same time, same place.
Have a great weekend, everyone.
Have a great weekend, everybody. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.